Hi, I'm Sarah from Franchising Magazine, and I'm here with John from DC Strategy. DC Strategy is taking part in the free Franchise Advice Centre. John, tell us a little bit about what kind of advice you're handing out.
So at an event like this, it's predominantly general advice. It's introductory advice to people who are either looking to invest in a franchise opportunity or people who are business owners looking to grow their business.
So if we take the potential franchisees first, people who are looking to invest, what do they know about franchising when they come to talk to you?
Oh, look, that varies enormously. Some people are at very early stages of thinking about a franchise opportunity. Others have done quite a bit of investigation and probably at the final stages of making a decision. So, yeah, those people are looking for different advice, obviously. Some very generic advice about the industry in general, or sector in general, what they should be looking for. Others are looking for more specific legal advice on a particular opportunity or commercial advice on whether that's the right business for them.
Doing the due diligence is something that we talk about a lot within the franchising sector. Obviously, this is part of it. What would your advice be to someone who is just thinking about buying a franchise and wants to know what kind of research to do?
Look, I think there's plenty of information readily available in terms of your initial research for franchising. So certainly check the websites, talk to franchisors, get a feel for the sorts of businesses you're interested in. But before you make a decision, definitely go and get some professional advice on both the commercial aspects of buying a franchise to ensure that you have the investment ability and you understand the implications of what you're investing in. And then, of course, the legal advice to ensure that the agreement is understood and you know what your obligations are under your franchise.
Now, a lot of people will say, I'm just going to use my local accountant and I'm going to go to my mate's friend who's a lawyer because we've used them before for family issues. Is that the right approach?
Look, obviously you don't want to replace people's advisors altogether, but I think when you're looking at a particular opportunity, you do need to get specialist advice. And if it's very similar to a medical practice. You don't go to your GP for specialist advice on a medical condition. Franchising is much the same. There are specialists who understand franchising, who understand the obligations and the pitfalls, and I think it's really important that people actually seek out a specialist advisor.
Franchising is governed by the Franchising Code of Conduct, which is part of the Trade Practices Act. Is that something that a lot of people would know about outside the industry?
Probably not. Look, I think people understand that there are regulations around franchising. I don't think they have a sort of deep awareness of the ACCC or the code for that matter. In most cases, they probably don't need to, but they certainly need to be aware of what the implications of those rules and regulations are for them in whichever part of franchising they're looking to get involved in.
And what about people who want to convert their business into a franchise system? You've obviously seen a few today. Some of the marketplace is pretty crowded, isn't it? Are there people coming to you with some really fresh ideas?
There are some interesting ideas. I think there's certainly a shift towards more service-based businesses and mobile businesses and home-based businesses. So I think that's sort of a trend that's continuing in the space. But there's still a very strong core of your usual retail or storefront-based franchise opportunities. It's pretty wide and varied. I mean, obviously, with the range of businesses we have in the marketplace, there's no one sector that's particularly leaning towards franchising, I don't think, at this stage.
Now, obviously, it will depend on the circumstances of each business as to the kind of advice you give, but what's the general advice to someone who thinks that they've got a great franchise prospect in their existing business?
Proceed carefully, work through the options very carefully. I think importantly get a very good understanding of the economics and the sort of financial aspects of growing a franchise and what that means for them. Work very hard on the commercial aspects of that, so ensuring they have the relationship aspects between the franchisor, them as the franchisor, and the franchisees very well sorted. Get good legal advice, work very hard on your recruitment processes to bring the right people into the business, and then systems, operations, processes, and marketing. It's a package, and there is lots of detail to be had underneath each of those areas, and I think that's the key in franchising. At a top level, it's quite simple. You have a business and a concept, and people can buy into that, but it's really the detail that sits underneath that arrangement that will make or break the success of that franchise over time.
And one thing I've learned from speaking to a lot of new businesses and emerging businesses is just the phenomenal cost that goes into building a franchise. People often underestimate the costs it takes to really get a system up and running.
Yeah, well, phenomenal is an interesting term, so I guess that's relative to the investment. But look, an important consideration is to understand whether investing in a franchise development program will actually give you the returns that you're looking for. So unless you can justify it on a return on investment basis, then obviously I wouldn't recommend that you proceed down that path. So for those people who do invest in a franchise and who build a good and strong, successful franchise system, the returns can be, very rewarding. So I think that's all relative, and it's really a case of understanding whether you are investing in the right things and whether you'll get the return that you're looking for on that investment over time.
And I guess having a point of difference is really essential.
Oh, look, I think so. But it doesn't need to be a major point of difference. I mean, if you look around the space, there are plenty of coffee franchises, there are plenty of food franchises. So being able to stand out completely is actually quite difficult, I think, in a crowded marketplace. But sometimes the little things can make a difference. Your branding, your customer service, the customer experience, the way your staff project the sort of environment that they're working in. Those little things make a big difference when you put those all together.
Thanks for your time, John. Thanks for your tips.
Thanks, Sarah.